Skye, take it, Bill.
That's Cash and Skye singing and playing Pasadena Girls, a song from their just-released debut album, Just a Stranger. Cash is Henri Cash of Starcrawler, and Skye is Sophia Skye, and that is brother Bill Cash on pedal steel. We found Cash and Skye at their studio, in Pasadena of course, and asked them why it took so long for them to finally release an album when they've known each other since high school.
A lot of land in the greater Los Angeles area.
Well, you know, I was contractually obligated to not put out other music for a while because my other band, Starcrawler, were on Universal. And
right.
So there was a lot of times where we thought we were going to be able to put stuff out, and then it ended up we weren't able to. And then recently we've got out of that deal. And
okay.
We decided, right now that we're not in anything, we got to put this out now before there's any more rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sophia, that must have been frustrating for you, knowing that you had this thing raring to go and had to wait so long. How did you feel about
Definitely. Yeah. No, it's been a long time coming, and I'm very happy that's finally going to be out in the world.
And I'm getting the feeling from what I've seen that the two bands actually get together, like you shared a bill a few times. So that's not an issue, is it?
We're all friends and we go back. I actually met Sophia when I was in high school, but she's known Arrow since they were little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they've known each other longer than I've known either of them. But yeah, it's all worked out. We're all family in Starcrawler and here too. So everybody's either played on the record or been a part of it in some way, helping with photography or ideas for certain shots and that kind of thing. And so It's just felt like a big happy family.
Now I got to ask you, do you pronounce your name Henri or Henri?
I pronounce it Henri. I don't know why my parents decided to put the I there, I'm not even French.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but I just realized it's like it could be an issue, so I thought I'd check first. All right.
Oh no, you can call me whatever you want.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you have. I was reading through some of your backstory. You worked at times with people like Peter Case and Alejandro Escovedo and Lenny Kaye. Yeah. These are all like my favorite people that I love.
Me too.
I'm an old guy, so how did that? Yeah, that's quite a legacy already for a youngster.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm lucky enough to where I grew up surrounded by music. My parents were musicians, and they were friends with people like Peter Case, and so I grew up going to see him play, hearing him tell stories, and being in a super musical environment since I was really young. And it was just really inspiring. I remember one time there was this venue in LA called McCabe's. It's in Santa Monica. It's
I've actually been there.
It's an amazing place, and I hope that it continues to be there for a long time because there's some special history and just energy in that room. But I was there when I was a kid, and I remember there was this old man talking to me in the corner for a very long time. I told him I wanted to play drums and that my favorite drummer was Meg White. And he told me, I used to record with a band called the Velvet Underground, and they had a female drummer. Oh, you got to check them out. And, telling me about all these stories, and then telling me about Bob Dylan. And then it was Bob Newirth.
Right.
And everybody later was saying that, he didn't tell stories about that stuff to people.
Right.
But, and all that thing, it was really inspiring. And then I went home and I was checking out Bob Dylan and the Velvet Underground. And it was just, I felt my musical spectrum opening really broadened wide just from being around that and seeing, live folk music at a young age. It was really inspiring.
Have you seen the new Dylan movie? Because I think Bob Newirth is portrayed in the film.
I have, yeah. It was not the same Bob Newirth that I knew.
They take cinematic license, I guess.
Yeah. But it was cool, yeah. Cool to see.
And Sophia, of course, you have a musical family as well. Your dad is a member of Rilo Kiley, who have also just gotten back together again at the same time that you're doing this. So tell me your
Yes.
thoughts and feelings about that.
Oh, it's so exciting. I mean, it's just so special to me because like that's the music of my childhood. Like that those were the first songs that I ever learned ever
Right.
were Rilo Kiley songs. And um it feels like it's healing my inner child a little bit to like see, my dad also like getting back on the horse and, going on tour again for the first time in like, 17 years or however long it's been.
Yeah.
So that's been really special and also really full circle that like we're putting out our thing too at the exact same time, which was not planned but ended up being very serendipitous, I'd say. Yeah,
Cool. Yeah. And he's helped with some of the recordings that you guys have made. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
for sure. Yeah, he's been there since
Yeah.
day one helping us out, always. So for sure, yeah, we
And
owe a lot to him.
when you say helping you out, is it technical stuff or aesthetic stuff, musical? What is he kind of throwing at you?
He's let us come into his studio and invade several times and bring all our friends and watch the console and press record while we've been fooling around. And
Right.
because of that, because we never planned on making a record when we started recording, we were just having fun. And so it would just be, us and our friends, and we'd happen to write a song. We're like, oh, well, we should go record that because it would be fun. Because I
Right.
think to a certain extent, a lot of these songs were recorded. Well, I was under contract to make other records where there
Yep.
was pressure and a timeline involved. And the fact that there wasn't here, it was all the same people, but we could make whatever. It didn't need to be a certain thing because there was who knows if it's even going to see the light of day. It's just fun.
Right.
And so I think that was really freeing musically to be able to do that.
Right.
And
And of course,
so having him there to press record and kind of encourage that was really cool.
nice, nice. And music-wise, of course, it's a different sound than Starcrawler by a long
Yeah.
shot. That's more rock and roll and kind of punky, and this is more
Yeah.
country and twangy. So, is that something that's always been a part of what you wanted to be doing? How did it get to the point where you're making this music?
Well, I grew up listening to a bunch of different music, and it's just like when you eat food, some days you want a cheeseburger and some days you want like sushi or a steak, Like even for Starcrawler, like some days we come in and we're playing that stuff, and then some days we're playing like Eagles covers when we're rehearsing just for
Right.
fun, it varies every day, and so but at the same time, you don't want to disappoint. Once you've established yourself as one thing, you don't want to disappoint anybody or
Right.
change too much.
Right.
So it felt like a cool opportunity to express this side of our creativity, but not impose on what we've already done as Starcrawler.
Gotcha. Well, it's interesting you mentioned the Eagles. You have a tune called "One More Turn," which to me, I thought it was going to be already gone when I heard it started.
Oh, yeah.
The old. So
Yeah.
obviously, and I think Henri, you sing that song. Is that right? So tell
That
me
is right.
anything you can tell me about that track and your Eagles obsession, if there is one.
One more turn and we've gone too far. Our house is all stacked like a deck of cards. Been falling too far to get back up again. Well, one more turn and we've gone too far. Our house is all stacked like a deck of cards. I've been falling too far to get back up again.
Funny story is one of my dad's. So my dad had like a few friends. One being Peter Case, this other guy Brad Rice, who played guitar for a bunch of people growing up,
Right.
and this other guy Michael Thompson, who played piano and keyboard in the Eagles. And these were like my musical uncles who I would grow up seeing playing on stage. And I actually went to a Eagles rehearsal, and he gave me my first bass.
Oh,
I didn't see the rehearsal, but I went to center staging in Burbank, and I was told he had a surprise for me, and he brought out a box, and it was a Squire bass, and that really got me into woodshedding on bass, because at first I didn't want to play guitar when I was growing up. My dad played guitar, so I wanted to play everything but guitar. I wanted to play drums, I wanted to play bass. It was cool because on this record I got to do all that stuff too. But then when I met Arrow in school, she said, "Do you play guitar?" and I reluctantly said yes, and sort of had to figure out my story quickly.
And you were, of course, holding a tuba at that point, right?
I was, yeah. I love tuba. I don't get to play that enough anymore. But if things took a turn, and that would probably be my plan.
All
If
right.
everything went downhill from here, I could just recover on.
There's always a place for a tuba. It
But
could be
the Eagles are great. I love Jackson Brown, and I really love Warren Zevon. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
the LA folk scene from that period of time. I mean, there's just great tones, and just the songwriting is incredible.
Yeah. Warren seems to be getting a renaissance. Everybody seems to be recording his Carmelita song, which is one of my favorites. So.
I love Carmelita. I love the Dwight Yoakam cover of Carmelita, too.
I'll have to check it out. All right. Now your opening song is a thing called Stranger. And I see on the video that you've written a little description of the song, which has gotten some attention because it's one of the more unique approaches to describing a song. Something about a fish and a net. What was on your mind, or what was in your mind when you wrote that?
Standing alone in the garbage line, I'm feeling lost. She's looking fine. I'm just a stranger of the unattractive type. Dirt on my clothes, paint on my thumbs. I smell like musk and I'm kinda dumb. And I won't talk, cause I don't wanna waste your time. Cause I have said some words before. I tried real hard just to be ignored. I'll be a stranger, always walking by myself.
Well, I think it's like, have you ever had a persimmon?
Yes.
Okay,
Or
so
as we say in New Zealand, persimmon.
persimmon. Wow, persimmon.
They changed
Well,
the accents on everything.
Here they aren't too you see them at the grocery store.
Right.
But nobody's ever, going to the grocery store and buying persimmons like you get an apple. They're right next to the apples, but they're always full, and the apples, tend to go. And then when the people do get persimmons, they bring them and they put them on the table as like a decoration for Christmas or something.
Right.
But, and a lot of people that don't like persimmons haven't even tried one. They just, just already made up their mind about persimmons and saying they're not good. And sometimes I feel like that, like I feel like the persimmons need a chance. They're the stranger of the grocery store. And, I also feel like sometimes thinking about things in that way, or thinking about just being a fish in a school, and just you're following and you don't know where you're going, or you want some sort of change. I feel like that's more interesting, and you could relate to that more interesting than you could if I told you, oh, this song is about the time I did this and that. You know what I mean?
Right. I gotcha. Yeah.
But
yeah, so the persimmon is like the outsider of the fruit world.
Yeah, and that's what I've always identified with. We've always been, the one on the side. We might not be the best, but we're just doing our thing, and
Right.
it's all we can do.
Right.
And,
well, I mean, rock and roll originally was outsider music made for outsiders. And at one point, it kind of became the mainstream. But I saw somebody ranting about how they were bumming out that there were no bands that were in the top 10 anymore. The top number one, there haven't been for like 20 years. It's all solo artists. And I'm thinking, well, that's okay. That's kind of the way rock and roll is supposed to be. And I have no problem finding cool bands, so like you guys.
Yeah,
so.
There's always going to be a spot for any type of music. There's always going to be somebody that is there for it. There's weirdos alike all around the world, no matter what country you go to, what city. And I think that's really cool that there's always, when you're a kid, you feel so alone. I mean, I grew up going to, public schools in Pasadena, and I'd be the only person that knew about the Ramones or something.
Right.
And I used to carry around, I remember in kindergarten, I had like a portable CD player with like a cheap set of headphones.
Yep.
And I'd try to show like Blitzkrieg Bop to the other kids. And I'm like, check this out. Like, isn't this the coolest thing ever? And nobody cared. They just wanted to, go play on the swings. And I thought I was going to be alone for the rest of my life in my, little music world, and I didn't care about King Kong as much as the rest of them. But then later on, like, you start to see people pop up, and then you develop such a strong relationship with people. Like that's how we sort of started to form our bond, was over the same kind of music. Like, X?
Yep.
Like, I thought I was the only one.
And by
And
X, I mean, you
finding
mean the
people.
band, I assume.
Yeah, the band.
Yes.
Yeah. It's weird, especially finding people our age that are into this type
Yeah.
of music, because I feel like generally, as most of the population tends to consume what is just put in front of them.
Sure.
But also, since our generation has YouTube, we can do deep dives into, we see one thing and there's the recommendations, and you go down and you're seeing all these live performances from 1977, and we have that all at our fingertips.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting time for sure.
Now, one track I wanted to touch on was "Forgot to Write You a Love Song," which Sophia sings beautifully.
Forgot to write you a love song. I hope you know that I cared. It's not my fault that I died. No, I tried, but my life's just not been fair. I'll help you out when your tongue's tied. I'll always sing in your ear. Just don't forget about this love song, 'cause I'll always be here.
When you're in the studio and you're making a track like that, what's the vibe like? What's the feeling like? How do you know you got it? You nailed it? Tell me a little bit of how that came together.
Changed a lot too.
Yeah, that one changed a lot. I originally wrote that song and I sang it because I realized that I'd never written a song for Sophia.
Okay.
And so the thought of that song was that, it's like if I had died and passed away, it'd be like a afterthought, like, oh shit, I forgot to ever write you a song. And so it was like a kind of melancholy thing. And then I just played it at our studio, like we're in our bass player of Starcrawler's basement. And I just played all the parts and sang it. And then the more I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is actually a kind of cool song. It would be 10 times better if somebody with a good voice sang it. And it was like, Sophia, you should sing this song. Like, it could actually have life with you singing it. And then she sang it, and then we thought, oh, that's cool. Let's try to re-record it. And so we went into her dad's studio and re-recorded it. And it just didn't have the same vibe as the demo. And so we ended up going back to the demo where it's just the demo and she sang, and I harmonized with her.
Sophia, do you want to add anything to that since you're actually singing the thing?
I know. That one's funny because, he wrote that one. A lot of the songs are like the way that I feel like we process songwriting is like one of us will write most of a song and then bring it to the other person. And so like that one specifically was a Henri written song. And since it's about me, it felt a little weird to like be singing it about me. But like, I don't know, I feel like I had a similar sentiment of like, I feel like when you're songwriting, you tend to focus on the negative in your life rather than the positive. And I feel like we're all like so oversaturated with, love songs and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun to have, especially on this record too. I feel like just like a classic love song that's cute and sweet. And I think it's really special. And it's my dad's favorite song on the record, actually. So he loves it a lot too. I think that's a special one for sure.
It was sort of a challenge because I've never been able to really write like a love song or a happy song. I've always just loved talking about what I don't like.
Right.
Like things like I've always bonded over mutual hatred more than mutual appreciation of things.
Well, this is a common occurrence. I just interviewed a band called the DeLines. They're an Americana band. They've been around for years, and their main songwriter is also a novelist. And his female singer in the band, Amy, demanded that he finally write like a positive song, one where everybody wasn't killed or maimed or, So
there you go.
It's especially hard when you think about country music. Like I tried to catalog all the songs on my Apple playlist where I separated all my country into drinking songs, cheating songs, and the heartbreak songs. But there's never like a full-on just positive love song.
And like the murder ballad.
Yeah, and then there's the murder ballads. So you're either killed or you're getting cheated on or you're drinking.
Yep. Well,
And
there's
that's
nothing wrong with a good murder ballad.
yeah.
Just ask Nick Cave.
Oh yeah, I love murder ballads.
Mhm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and you have a tune called "Closed," which I mean, because pedal steel kind of
Mm.
seeps into this thing, and it's beautiful on that track, and it kind of has a Chris Isaac kind of vibe to it. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's
maybe
great.
you tell me how that came about.
Her eyes are closed. She's dancing across the floor in a cheap motel. You ain't looking to be adored.
Well, me and my brother, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago now, bought a pedal steel together,
Right?
thinking that they're an expensive thing to get, and you can't learn them until you get them because they have a bunch of things, and
Sure.
so we went halvesies on one, thinking that we'd both learn how to play it because we really wanted it in some of these songs, and we can't afford to pay musicians, so we got to be able to do things ourselves. About 2 weeks later, I gave up because it's just way too much. You're doing, you're finger picking with one hand. You're doing all these weird slide things, and then you're using your knees and then both feet. So I was out, but he kept going because he likes a challenge,
Right.
and he got really good at it. And so, I forget what the first song he played on to like one of the later songs, you could just hear the improvements he's made in pedal steel is pretty crazy. Like Pasadena Girls was pretty early from when he got his pedal steel.
Right.
And so he had to learn pretty quickly,
Mhm.
and he did it way better than me.
It's a great sound, and it's a classic country thing that I used to hate country music. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania in the boonies, and I wanted to listen to the Beatles and the Stones and not Johnny Cash and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But now it's kind of come full circle, and you hear that and you go, yeah, sounds
Yeah.
like what I need to hear at the moment. So it's cool. And you guys are much younger, so you come around sooner.
Or maybe we'll come back around and start hating everything too.
That's you got time for that? Because I read somewhere where country is like the new, or rock and roll is now a subgenre of country music. So
Oh yeah.
they've kind of taken it
So
over.
weird. They're labeling everything country music now if you wear a cowboy hat.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know about that, but it's interesting. I grew up. My parents were into like punk rock and folk and
Right.
country. My mom was super into like hee haw, so I'd watch hee haw, but then I'd be super into like the Ramones, and they both like country music, like the old Merle Haggard and stuff, and Buck Owens. It's pretty fast and like
Yep.
they're pretty shreddy and rippy.
Yeah, they
But
were picking and doing it.
what I couldn't get into as a kid was indie music, like
Oh,
indie
right.
rock, like what she grew up with was. I could not. I was like, why is this guy whining? Like
So you
this
weren't
guy.
a big Tom York fan or Radiohead?
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. I was like, I'm not a big guy, but I could probably fuck this guy up. And then as I've grown older, I've come to really appreciate it and start to like that music. But just for some reason,
starting to.
I'm starting to. I'm coming
We're getting
into.
there.
But so I understand what you mean about the country music, and just you grow older and you start to appreciate things a bit differently.
Yep. All right, so you got the album coming out in a couple of days. What's the plan moving forward? Is it more stuff with the duo, with the band, a little of each of both, or what's happening?
Well, we're playing a record release show at this theater in LA that's called the Bob Baker Marionette Theater. And I'm so excited because I grew up going there to their old location. They'd been in this one location in like more closer to downtown area,
Right.
kind of Echo Park. They'd been there for like 100 years or something. It's such like a classic LA staple, and they've had the same marionettes for that long.
So there are marionettes there.
Real marionettes, yes, and they have thousands of them. And so as a kid, I would always go. I think I had a birthday party there once. And they just recently moved theaters to down the street from where I grew up in Highland Park. And I am so excited to be playing a show there. I mean, it's truly like the most full circle thing ever.
Cool.
And while you're playing, the puppeteers will bring out the little marionettes and they'll dance along to all of the songs. And they pick like different characters to match the vibe of each song. And it's very unique and very cool. But I'm so excited.
And from there, where are you going? I mean, it's all downhill after the marionettes. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I
all
know.
downhill from there.
Exactly.
But we'll keep playing more shows.
Mhm.
We're gonna be doing some touring. We do a couple. We play as a trio where it's acoustic guitar, pedal steel, and singing.
Right.
And then, but when we're in LA or closer in California, we pull out the full band, which our bass player from Starcrawler join in, and
Right.
we've had a bunch of different musicians that we've been friends with for a long time that come out and we get to play with them and have people sit in. And so we're going to be doing some touring with that. Last year it brought us to some interesting places. We went to Edmonton, Canada.
Oh, right.
And, New York before that.
I've never
And
heard
so-
Edmonton, Canada being described as interesting. That's
I think interesting is one of the only words to describe it.
okay.
They got the like bison.
Yeah,
Or what is that? Yeah.
It's
think
very
and moose.
cold.
Aren't there some mooses there?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
moose. Last time we went, I kept trying to find somebody to take us to go see some moose,
Mhm.
but we went to what do you call it? Natural. We went to a wildlife park, or not
Yep.
a wildlife
Yeah.
park. We just went out into nature, and there was like a herd of bison,
Nice.
Mhm.
That's pretty
like
cool.
not 30 minutes outside of the downtown area.
Right.
So we got to see that. We stepped in bison poop, and
There
it
you
was, like,
go.
twice the size of my shoe, and destroyed the shoe, and did all the things. And so we'll see where it takes us this year. Hopefully,
All right.
it'd be nice to come out to New Zealand. And,
It would be nice. We'd love to see you. Bring all the bands, all the people.
Yeah.
We'll hook you up. We got a great venue around the corner here. You can
Oh, cool.
play at. It's called the Power Station.
A friend of ours, their band called the Schizophonics. They just went out to New Zealand.
They played
Yeah.
in my living room once.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Look
I
at the
love those
video
guys.
on YouTube. I'll send you a link. It's awesome.
Please do. Yeah, Pat is one of my favorite guitar players. I love.
Well,
him.
he's insane because, he does all the acrobatics and the knee drops and all that. When he was even warming up, just doing a sound check, he was doing that. I was like, the camera's not on. You don't need to do that yet. But he's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And they were
I think the funniest thing is his first part of sound check is like observing for nails and anything sharp.
that's probably
Just
right.
like observing the stage, and then he could go up there and
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They were just here recently, as was Jack White, who played a couple of amazing shows here, and he's helped you guys out a little bit, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's been
Yeah.
amazing. They put out our first single, "No More Candy," a few years ago, and that was really cool of them.
Yeah.
And they've just been so supportive of us. We saw them a couple weeks ago play down here, and it was. I mean, he's always amazing and super inspiring to watch.
Yeah, him and his team were like literally the nicest people to walk the earth.
Nice to
They're
hear.
just all so genuinely kind. And,
Very cool. All righty. Well, we can probably go on forever name dropping and comparing, blah, 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 but I'll let you go. Enjoy your release day, and hopefully we'll see you down here sometime.
That would be amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.